This is the Andrew Barclay diesel hydraulic shunter based at the Keith Dufftown Railway. It was built in 1957 in Kilmarnock under works number 415 and delivered to Castle Donington Power Station, which started generating in 1958. Following the closure of the power station in 1994, the locomotive entered preservation in England before making its way north of the border to the Royal Deeside line, and then 2015 to Dufftown. The Barclay was originally delivered with a 315 horsepower National engine and a mechanical transmission. It was similar in design and performance to the BR Class 06, which entered service in 1958. The Barclay was rebuilt in the 70s with a 355 horsepower Cummins NTA855 engine and a hydraulic transmission. It's a fairly substantial machine for its size, weighing in at just over 37 metric tons. The loco serves as a general works unit, and being air braked can be used to move the line's Class 140 Pacer prototype and Class 144 Pacer. On the front is a shed plate with a fictitious number 61D for Dufftown. Kitty Brewster in Aberdeen being 61A, Ferry Hill 61B and Keith Shed 61C. In mid-2024, the loco had some issues with a wheel bearing. This required some time in the shed and some general maintenance was carried out at this point. This gave an opportunity to take a closer look at the mechanical components and is shown later in the video.
I've got an electric switch that's the battery master on. I'll deal with the keys. It's embarrassing. I left them in the door. Right. That's the ignition switch there. I'll turn that on. I need to hold the oil pressure cancel switch so it should start. It starts when you pull the cold. Oil lamp gone out, so I've got oil pressure now. I can release the switch. Select forward on the lighting. Down here I've got a clutch and a forward and reverse lever and a sander for both directions. Air brake and air brakes there should be working. Just waiting for the air pressure to come up now. I'm going to give her a little more lever, a little more throttle. The alternator light is on. I think I've got a problem with the alternator. I'm just having to keep the battery charged up at the moment. It's not the belt slipping, it seems to be the alternator itself. I've got a spare switch, but that's not working.
In August, the Barclay was stopped with a hot bearing and taken into the shed. Here you can get an idea of how short the wheelbase is. Note the jack shaft powering the wheels via the connecting rod. This is the upper shell of one of the wheel bearings. You can see the oil galleries for lubrication on this plain bearing. Both the locomotive and train brakes are air powered. Here is a compressor, and behind it the Cummins NTA855, which is a 4-cylinder 14-litre turbocharged unit. Up top is the exhaust and the fuel tank, and you can see the air whistle mounted in the front of the cab. This is the hydraulic fluid coupling and the drive shaft. And mounted under the cab is a transmission. Here is a better view of the transmission, which is connected to the jack shafts, which then power the wheels via the connecting rods. Moving round and underneath, we can see the large buffers, coupling and air pipes. The heavy duty nature of this machine can be seen in the thickness of the buffer beam and frames. Here we see the brake cylinders and the hand brake mechanism mounted in between them. This axle had the problem bearing, and as can be seen, both bearings have been removed for inspection. Above the axle, you can see the bearing lubrication pipes and the heavy leaf springs, which would normally rest on the axle boxes, but the frame is jacked up here. Moving forward, we pass the air tanks and the front axle, which still has the bearings fitted. Hang on. I'd like to thank the owner for taking the time to fire up the loco and for taking us for a run. And the loco is currently active and can be seen at the Keith and Dufftown Railway.